Rain fell in sharp, stinging sheets, bouncing off jagged rocks and glowing blue moss. Somewhere deep in the alien jungle, a small figure stumbled through the mud. His clothes were torn, his face streaked with grime, but his eyes were wide, alert, and strangely calm. The boy was human, though nothing around him was. The trees loomed like towering spires, their leaves shimmering with a strange light that made the shadows twist unnaturally. Beside him, a honey badger padded silently, its black and white fur slick with rain, eyes gleaming with intelligence. The animal moved with purpose, scanning the shadows, sniffing the wet air, as if it knew dangers invisible to the boy. The child looked down at the creature. "We have to keep moving," he whispered, though he had no idea who, or what, might be listening. The badger twitched its ears and let out a low growl, the sound swallowed quickly by the storm. Earlier that morning the boy had been lost. He had woken alone in a clearing, unsure how he had gotten there. The last thing he remembered was a crash, the hull of the ship breaking, alarms blaring, screams echoing. And then, nothing. Now all he had was the badger and a trembling sense that he was being watched. From somewhere deep in the mist, a strange hum began to rise. It wasn't natural, mechanical, almost alive, vibrating the wet earth beneath his feet. The boy froze, feeling the hair on his arms stand on end. He crouched, trying to make himself invisible among the glowing ferns. The badger pressed close to him, growling low, a warning he could feel in his chest. Shapes moved in the fog, tall and alien. They didn't walk like humans, their limbs bent in ways that made the boy's stomach churn. Their armor glimmered with strange patterns, reflecting the pale light of the jungle. The boy's breath caught as he realized they were scanning, methodically, with something like intelligence. He had never seen creatures like this before, and every instinct screamed at him to run. But the mud was sucking at his boots, and the rain had turned the ground into a slippery trap. The honey badger didn't hesitate. It moved forward, low to the ground, tail twitching. The boy followed, heart hammering. They slipped between trees and over rocks, the alien's eyes cutting through the storm like sharp knives. He tried to remember what his parents had told him about survival. Stay quiet. Stay calm. Don't let them see fear. But the jungle around him was alive with strange sounds. Dripping water, the snap of a branch, the distant scream of an unknown creature. Suddenly, a light flared ahead, a pulse of blue energy cutting through the rain. The boy froze, hand on the badger's back. The creature hissed, ears flat. The pulse came again, closer this time, and the boy realized it wasn't just a light, it was a signal. The aliens were coordinating. They were hunting. And he and the badger were the prey. He remembered the stories he had read once about humans on other worlds, about how fragile their kind was in the face of unknown predators. But these were no ordinary predators. These were soldiers, an army of something beyond comprehension. His stomach twisted. How could he survive against them? And yet, the honey badger looked ready to fight. Its small body seemed to radiate a fearless strength that made him shiver in awe. The boy edged around a massive tree, pressing against its wet bark. The rain blurred his vision and he could barely make out the shapes of the aliens advancing, careful, precise. He whispered, "We need a way out," but the words were swallowed by the storm. The badger sniffed the air and let out a sharp growl, alerting him to a narrow gap between two enormous roots. It was their only chance. As he stepped forward, a branch snapped beneath his foot. The sound echoed like a gunshot. The badger stiffened, hackles raised, eyes fixed on the shifting fog. From the mist, one of the aliens turned sharply, its glowing eyes locking on the boy. His heart froze. The pulse of the alien's armor was quick, like it sensed his fear. And then another figure appeared beside it. And another. The boy swallowed hard, trembling. He tried to back away, but the mud pulled at his legs. The badger hissed and bared its teeth, low and menacing, its small body a perfect contrast to the towering soldiers. The child felt something in his chest, a surge of hope or maybe stubborn defiance. He didn't know if they could fight, if they could survive. But one thing was certain, they would not go quietly. The alien army stopped, scanning, coordinating, unaware that a small, unassuming creature was ready to snap. And then from the shadows, a sudden feral roar erupted from the badger, loud and wild, shaking the rain and fog around them. The aliens turned instantly, eyes widening in shock. The boy's heart leaped. Something primal and unstoppable had just been unleashed. The badger crouched, teeth glinting, eyes locked on the nearest alien. The boy barely had time to grip its fur. The first strike was about to fall. And in that moment, the jungle seemed to hold its breath. The jungle trembled as the alien army halted, confused by the honey badger's sudden roar. Mist rolled through the trees, swirling around their glowing armor, but the boy didn't wait to understand. He clutched the badger's fur, feeling its tense muscles ripple beneath his hand. Its eyes darted from shadow to shadow, alert to every movement. "Stay close," he whispered, though the words felt small against the storm. The rain had eased slightly, but the mud was worse than before. Each step was a struggle, sucking at his boots, threatening to betray them with every slip. Somewhere above, the strange, glowing leaves rustled, making eerie patterns across the wet ground. From deeper in the fog, a low hum vibrated through the air. The aliens were moving again. They were circling, silent, calculating, as if the jungle itself were their weapon. The boy could hear the faint click of their boots against stones, the subtle hiss of energy shields adjusting. He shivered. He had never seen anything like this, and instinct told him these creatures were far beyond ordinary enemies. The honey badger growled low, ear twitching. It led the boy through a narrow gap between two massive roots, moving with a surprising speed. Its paws barely made a sound in the mud, but the boy stumbled, barely keeping up. Each step felt heavier, the fear pressing against his chest. "What are they?" he whispered, though he already knew there was no answer he could understand. The badger didn't answer, only sniffed the air and pressed onward. Its instincts seemed sharper than anything the boy had ever known. He could only follow. A sudden flicker of light caught his eye. A small drone, or something like it, floated between the trees. It scanned the area, sending a soft, pulsing glow across the moss and rocks. The boy froze, heart pounding. The alien army was not just soldiers. They had machines, tools, ways to find him that he couldn't even imagine. He ducked behind a tree, holding his breath. The honey badger stayed still, its body coiled like a spring. Then, without warning, it lunged forward and knocked the drone into a tree. The device sparked and fell, but the aliens didn't seem worried. They were learning, adapting. The boy's stomach twisted. Whatever these creatures were, they were clever, and they would not make mistakes twice. Rain began to drizzle again, smaller now but persistent. The jungle seemed alive with whispers, the distant screech of unknown creatures, the rustle of leaves, the snap of branches under unseen feet. The boy pressed his face to the badger's fur. "We can't stop, we have to keep moving." A flash of movement to the left made him flinch. One of the aliens had broken from the group, crouching low, scanning. Its glowing eyes were fixed in his direction. The boy froze, heart hammering as if it could read his fear. The badger snarled and puffed itself up, bristling with defiance. The alien tilted its head, almost curious, then vanished back into the fog. The boy swallowed. Each step forward was a gamble. The jungle was strange, almost alive, full of hidden dangers beyond the alien army. Poisonous plants, unseen predators, quicksand-like mud. He had no way of knowing what could kill him first. And yet, the honey badger seemed fearless, moving with a purpose, guiding him as if it could see paths invisible to human eyes. Hours passed, though he couldn't tell. The rain softened into a mist, but the tension remained thick, pressing against him from every direction. He glanced at the badger, panting, its fur matted but eyes alert. Something about it made him trust it completely, even as fear clawed at him. Then came the sound. A deep, vibrating hum unlike anything he had heard before. The alien army was not just circling, they were closing in. The rhythm of the hum grew louder, almost like a heartbeat, echoing through the jungle. The boy froze. His throat was dry. The badger pressed against him, growling, ears flat, tail twitching. From the fog, faint silhouettes emerged, tall, armored shapes moving with deliberate precision. The boy counted at least 10, but there could be more. They were patient, cautious, like hunters who had already tracked their prey across miles of hostile terrain. He swallowed, trying to steady his trembling hands. "Don't panic," he muttered to himself. But panic was already there, coiling around his chest like a living thing. The badger let out a sharp, warning hiss. The silhouettes paused, scanning, and one of them raised a strange device, its purpose unknown, but the boy felt its threat. He gripped the badger tighter. We can't fight them," his voice broke, though he didn't want to admit it aloud. But the badger seemed to understand. Its eyes locked on the nearest alien, and it crouched low, ready to strike again. And then, something unexpected happened. One of the alien soldiers moved differently from the rest. Its head tilted slightly, almost as if it recognized something. Its stance shifted. And in that moment, the jungle seemed to pause. The boy's heart thudded in his ears. The honey badger tensed, muscles coiled, eyes glowing with a strange, fierce intelligence. The first strike was about to come, but this time, it might not be just instinct. Something in the fog waited. Something was about to move. The mist hung thick in the jungle, curling around the boy and his honey badger like invisible fingers. The alien army had formed a tighter ring. Their glowing eyes cut through the fog, scanning every shadow, every movement. The boy's chest ached with fear, but he tried to keep calm. His hands were trembling, but he whispered, "We have to keep moving. We can't stop now." The badger's fur bristled as it sniffed the wet air. Its low growl vibrated through the boy's chest, a warning he could feel more than hear. He took a cautious step forward, then another, mud sucking at his boots. Every step felt heavy, as if the jungle itself wanted to trap them. The boy's heart pounded in his ears. He had never been this afraid in his life. Suddenly, a sharp, metallic snap echoed nearby. A branch or maybe a trap. He didn't have time to think. The badger lunged forward with a speed that made his eyes widen. It hit something small and mechanical. It skittered across the mud with sparks flying. The boy realized it was one of the alien drones sent ahead to locate them. The badger growled triumphantly, but the victory was brief. From the fog, the aliens reacted instantly. Energy pulses flared along their armor. The boy stumbled back, slipping into a shallow puddle. Water splashed over his face. Panic rose like fire in his chest. The alien patrol advanced with terrifying precision, moving faster than he could comprehend. The jungle seemed to shrink around him, every tree a potential trap, every shadow hiding unseen eyes. "Run," he whispered to the badger, though it was already moving. They darted between massive roots and fallen trees, slipping and sliding over the wet ground. He tried to keep up, gasping for breath, heart racing. The aliens weren't just chasing, they were predicting, adjusting, surrounding him. A sudden screech pierced the air. Something massive crashed through the trees nearby, shaking the ground. The boy froze. He had no idea what it was. The badger growled and spun toward the sound, first standing on end. Another screech, closer now, and a shadow moved too fast for the boy to see. It was not an alien, at least not like the others. His stomach twisted. What new danger had joined the hunt? The jungle floor trembled beneath his feet. Roots seemed to writhe, or maybe it was just his imagination. His mind raced, memories of the ship crash flashing in his head. He thought of his parents, of Earth, of everything he had lost. Tears pricked his eyes, but he blinked them away. He couldn't cry now. Not when survival depended on every nerve, every movement. The aliens closed in. One raised a strange device, pointing it at the boy. A beam of faint blue light stretched toward him. His breath caught. He stumbled, barely avoiding the energy pulse. The badger hissed, charging the nearest alien with a ferocity that made the boy flinch. The alien barely moved, sidestepping, but the badger's teeth sank into its armor. Sparks flew. The boy felt his heart leap. "Go. Now," he yelled, dragging the badger with him. They scrambled through the mud, dodging branches and alien beams. The jungle was alive with chaos. The rain, the fog, the sound of claws and armor hitting mud. His mind spun, fear mixing with a strange exhilaration. He had never felt anything like this before. Every step could be their last. They turned a corner and the boy froze. A massive drop lay ahead, a cliff that plummeted into darkness. He could hear water crashing far below. His heart leapt into his throat. There was no way around it. He looked at the badger. It sniffed the edge, then back at him as if asking, "Are you ready?" The boy swallowed, terror striking him cold. His legs shook. He could hear the alien army behind them, faster now, closing in. The jungle echoed with the sound of their pursuit. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to jump, to fight, but he didn't know which was wiser. The badger crouched low, muscles coiled like a spring. It let out a low, terrifying growl. From the shadows, a strange figure appeared, a scout moving differently from the rest. Its head tilted slightly, watching the boy and the badger with an almost curious intelligence. It didn't attack, not yet. But its presence made the boy's stomach churn. He could feel the weight of unseen eyes everywhere. Something about this scout was different. The boy took a deep breath. His hands were numb from cold and fear. He glanced down at the badger, whose eyes burned with fierce determination. He could trust it, but only just. They had no plan, no allies, nothing but instinct and courage. The cliff loomed ahead, the alien army pressed behind, and the jungle seemed ready to swallow them whole. The badger hissed louder now, ears flat, teeth bared. Its tail lashed against the mud. The boy's chest pounded so hard he thought it might burst. He could feel the tension in the air, thick and heavy, as if the jungle itself was holding its breath. And then a pulse of blue energy flashed from the scout. The boy blinked, unsure if it was a warning or a signal. The badger tensed, crouched like a predator ready to strike. The next moment would decide everything. The boy's feet skidded on the muddy cliff edge, heart hammering. Rain fell in sheets, soaking his clothes, blurring the jagged rocks below. He peered over the edge, dizzy with fear. One wrong step and they would fall into the dark abyss. Behind him, the alien army pressed closer, glowing eyes slicing through the mist. The boy's chest burned with panic, but he could not move. The honey badger crouched beside him, tail twitching, hackles raised. Its small body seemed calm but ready, every muscle coiled like a spring. The boy whispered, voice trembling, we can't survive this." His hands gripped the badger's fur, seeking comfort, but finding only a fierce determination. Then it happened. The badger's eyes flared with a strange, unnatural light. The boy blinked. He had seen courage and he had seen instinct, but this was something else. The honey badger stepped forward, head low, tail high, and its growl was no longer ordinary. It was deep, intelligent, deliberate. The aliens froze, their formation faltering. The scout, the one that had watched them curiously, tilted its head, eyes narrowing. The boy felt a shiver crawl up his spine. The badger was not just a wild animal. Its movements were precise, almost strategic. It was planning, calculating, reading the battlefield like a human general. The boy's heart leapt. You're not just a badger," he whispered, awestruck. He had always known it was clever, fearless beyond reason, but now he understood. The honey badger could fight, think, and maybe even outsmart the alien army. A pulse of energy shot toward them. The boy ducked instinctively, mud splashing across his face. The badger leaped with impossible agility, knocking the pulse aside with a swipe of its claws. Sparks flew. Another alien fired, and the badger rolled between the shots, striking with speed and precision that no ordinary animal could manage. The boy gasped, eyes wide. He realized they had a chance, not a guarantee but a chance. He felt something he had not felt in days, hope. Fear still clawed at him, but now it was mixed with awe. His companion was extraordinary. The alien scout moved forward, cautiously, its weapon aimed. The boy could see hesitation. Something about the badger made the scout pause. Its comrades were rigid, but it alone seemed uncertain. The jungle trembled around them, mist swirling, rain falling, and the tension was unbearable. The badger circled the scout, ears flat, eyes glowing. Its growl deepened, almost like a warning in a language the boy could not understand but somehow feel. The scout froze, step after step, as if it sensed the badger's intelligence and cunning. Then it took a step back. Another pulse of energy flared from its weapon, but the badger ducked, rolled, and landed on its side with unerring precision. The boy's heart raced. He had never seen anything like this. You can really do this," he whispered, clutching the animal close. He could feel the rhythm of its heartbeat, fast and fierce, full of life and strategy. It wasn't just a fight, it was a plan unfolding in real time. The alien army reacted. They advanced, trying to flank, trying to surround, but the badger anticipated every move. It darted between them, striking, hissing, forcing them to scatter. Sparks flew, mud flew, and the jungle seemed alive with chaos. The boy followed, amazed, slipping over roots and rocks, heart pounding with a mixture of terror and wonder. "Keep going," he shouted to himself and to the badger. He knew they could not stay in one place. The cliff loomed behind them, the jungle ahead was dense, and the army was relentless. But the badger moved with uncanny awareness, leading him to narrow paths and hidden ledges, places the aliens could not follow easily. A sudden roar echoed through the trees, larger, closer. The boy froze. He had no idea what it was. The badger's ears twitched, eyes narrowing. Its growl intensified, almost as if it recognized the new threat and calculated its response. The boy's stomach twisted in fear. The jungle was full of surprises, and now a new danger approached, one that even the badger had noticed. The scout emerged from the fog again, this time moving faster, eyes locked on the boy. Its comrades followed more cautiously, but it was clear, they were learning, adapting to the badger's tactics. The boy's breath caught. He realized something terrifying. The alien army might be smart, but the badger might be smarter. Don't mess up," the boy whispered, voice trembling. Fear, awe, and trust collided in his chest. He clutched the badger's fur, feeling the fierce energy radiating from its small, powerful body. Whatever came next, he knew this was their only chance. From the mist, a massive shadow moved toward them. Its eyes glowed brighter than the scout's, larger than any alien they had faced. The boy stepped back, heart pounding. The honey badger hissed, muscles coiled, tail whipping. Its growl rolled through the jungle like thunder. The boy realized with both fear and hope that the final test was coming, and the badger held the key. The shadow loomed larger in the mist, a monstrous figure unlike any the boy had seen. Its armor gleamed with dark energy, eyes like burning coals. The alien scout from before froze at its side, hesitant, uncertain. The boy's heart raced. Fear clawed at his chest, but he gripped the honey badger's fur tighter, feeling the fierce pulse of life beneath his hands. The badger crouched low, muscles coiled, eyes glowing with that strange, intelligent fire. Its growl rolled through the jungle like thunder, echoing off trees and rocks. The boy could feel it vibrating through his bones. He whispered, voice trembling, "We can do this. We have to." The alien army flanked the massive figure, forming a half-circle around the boy and the badger. Their energy pulses began to hum in unison, a steady, ominous rhythm. The boy's stomach twisted. He had never felt so small, so fragile. And yet he had the badger. That tiny, fearless creature radiated power and cunning, more than anything he could have imagined. The massive alien stepped forward. Its voice was a harsh alien sound, but the meaning was clear. It demanded submission. The boy shook his head, heart pounding. He would not give up. The badger hissed, and in that instant the boy realized it was not just defending, they were planning, calculating. Then it struck. The badger lunged faster than the boy thought possible. It hit the massive alien at an unexpected angle, claws tearing at armor and energy conduits. Sparks erupted. The alien stumbled, surprised by the ferocity and intelligence of a creature so small. The boy gasped, adrenaline surging as the badger rolled, dodged, and struck again. The other aliens reacted immediately, rushing forward with energy pulses and weapons. The boy ducked behind a root, heart hammering, mud splattering his face. He could hear the hum of alien energy, the clash of metal and claws, the growls of the honey badger. Fear and awe twisted inside him. He had never witnessed anything like this. The massive alien roared, swinging a powerful arm, but the badger anticipated every strike, weaving and striking with unerring precision. It darted between legs, struck vulnerable points, and forced the alien to stumble repeatedly. The boy felt a rush of hope. The badger's intelligence and instinct together were enough to hold off an army. He climbed to a slightly higher ledge, heart pounding, and watched as the smaller aliens hesitated. They had learned, yes, but their strategy was no match for the badger's cunning. Every time they tried to flank, the honey badger was already there, ready, calculating. It wasn't just brute force, it was strategy, anticipation, and courage combined. The massive alien roared again, swinging, then froze, eyes narrowing. The badger had led it toward a weak spot in the terrain, a narrow ridge over a rushing underground river. The boy realized it was a trap, perfectly timed. The badger moved with purpose, dragging the massive figure, nudging it, forcing it toward the edge. The boy's pulse raced. Now, he shouted, not entirely sure if he meant for the badger or for himself. The badger crouched, then lunged one final time. The alien slipped. Energy sparks flew. Its foot caught the ridge, and with a final roar, it toppled over the edge, crashing into the river below. The current swallowed it, and a deafening roar echoed from the gorge. The remaining alien scouts froze. Their massive leader gone, their confidence shattered, they hesitated. The badger hissed once more, teeth bared, eyes glowing fiercely. Slowly, carefully, the aliens retreated into the mist, disappearing like shadows. The jungle grew quiet again, save for the dripping rain and the boy's ragged breathing. The boy sank to his knees, heart pounding so hard he thought it might burst. He pressed his face into the badger's fur, hugging it tightly. You saved us," he whispered, voice trembling with relief and awe. The honey badger nuzzled him gently, letting out a soft growl as if acknowledging the truth of his words. Tears mixed with rain on his face. Relief, fear, and amazement collided in him. They had survived. The alien army had been beaten, at least for now. And the honey badger, small, fearless, intelligent, had been the key. He stroked its fur, feeling the warmth, the loyalty, and the fierce power radiating from it. Above, the jungle seemed to sigh. The mist swirled, rain fell more softly, and for the first time since the crash, the boy felt safe. But deep in the fog, the faint glow of alien eyes lingered. He knew this was not the end. There would be more dangers, more challenges. But for now, they had won. The boy stood slowly, gripping the honey badger's fur. His legs were weak, his body aching, but his spirit burned with a newfound courage. "We'll keep going," he said, voice firm. "We survive. Together." The badger growled softly, tail flicking, and they stepped carefully through the mud toward the unknown jungle ahead. As they disappeared into the mist, the boy looked back one last time. The alien army was gone, the massive threat defeated, But he couldn't shake the feeling that the jungle still held secrets. And somewhere deep, far beyond sight, something was watching, waiting.